We're here today on the campus of Tuskegee University. It's the home of Booker T. Washington, made famous certainly by the work of George Washington Carver, the strong legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, and more popularly, the cool work of Lionel Richie. You know, I don't think any of us could have predicted when we entered what was a very difficult phase of the pandemic that we would then be confronted with the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. The first conversations I remember that I had with my team after the killings were just so painful and raw, but also we saw each other's humanity. We saw our interconnection. We didn't expect perfect answers to difficult questions. It's messy, and we have to be okay with some of that. The reality is this: we are confronted with the systems and structures of racism that made those events possible. And that reckoning really resonated with our company in a way that has led us to deepen our commitment to ensuring that injustice has no place inside the walls of our company, but more broadly, that we have a responsibility and a duty to do what we can to ensure that it doesn't happen anywhere. It's an investment that we're making in our future, not just specifically as it relates to people of color, but to all of us. And that is why it's so important that we all understand that this investment is one that is significant for the whole of society. We have to get it right. So coming out of this, we have identified 3 pillars that will really be the focus of our philanthropic effort, our civic engagement effort, our volunteer efforts. Those would be education, and that's one of the reasons we're here on Tuskegee's campus talking today. The other is criminal justice reform. How do we ensure that people who come through that system have an opportunity to meaningfully contribute to society? In early 2020, before the lockdown due to the pandemic, Southern Company announced a $50 million investment in HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. We know what it will mean both to the institutions and their capital needs, but more specifically and most importantly to the scholars who attend these universities. We are particularly excited about the launch and announcement of the Propel Center. While physically located in Atlanta, this unique center will cause integration and collaboration across a number of HBCUs with a focus on business innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology. One of the things that has been thoughtfully done, I think, as we developed our plans for the future. What do we look like in terms of our political engagement? What do we look like in terms of our foundation giving? What do we look like in terms of the organizations that we partner with in volunteer efforts? And over again, a construct around intentionality bubbled to the top. So we want to be sure that when we contribute our grant dollars to an organization, when we invest our time with an organization, when we consider the political leaders and advocacy groups that we support, that we ensure that those groups, those organizations, those individuals advocate values that align with ours. And we're going to do that. We're going to make sure that our resources are deployed in such a way that we hold people accountable for aligning with those dollars. The third pillar is economic empowerment. What can we do to ensure that diverse businesses have what they need to become successful? that is critically important to developing communities, to community building as a whole. And so I'm particularly excited about the innovative ways we will think about that, both from our philanthropic investments, but also from our supplier diversity, and how we will partner with those businesses to help them grow. It is a source of pride, I think, that we are now confronting these challenging, difficult, hard, unresolved conflicts. And we're doing it in a way that speaks to our values, but to the importance of these communities that have not always been seen or heard as they properly should have. Perhaps not a full acknowledgement of the pain and division that exists. Now is a time when that has changed. And I believe that if we continue and we advocate, as I know we at Southern will, we have a real opportunity to change for the good going forward. So the question is this: can we achieve a more just and equitable society? Yes. And we can do it if we commit to the work of doing it. Yes, we can do it if we understand that that work will take time. Yes, we can do it if we all invest in it. Yes, we are all necessary for that process. Yes, we will have different opinions. And yes, it's important that we hear all of them. Because when we do, we will achieve, at least in some small measure, a bit of the goal of becoming more perfect.